Now, while I did not have a Super Nintendo growing up, that doesn't necessarily mean I don't have memories of Super Nintendo stuff. One of my fondest childhood memories is going into a KB toy store and walking towards the video game section and hearing this techno style beat with somebody yelling, "No one can stop this! No one can stop this!" And I was like, what the hell is that? No one can stop this! This sounds freaking awesome. And then I walked up to the area where the video games were, and there was a kiosk for Ken Griffey Jr.'s Winning Run. And I was like, this is a baseball game soundtrack? And I absolutely love that game. It's actually like the only Super Nintendo game I kept besides one other one, because of the fact that I just remember that so vividly. But like I said, I never had a Super Nintendo, but I had a cousin who did have a Super Nintendo. Now, my cousin had a lot of government cheese because his mom was a single mom. And I guess to like make up for that, like he had everything. He had the Ghostbusters play set, like the complete set. He had all the figures. He had Michael Jackson records. He had an NES, a Sega Genesis, and a Super Nintendo. Every time I'd go over to their apartment, I would just be so jealous, because I'm like, I feel like my parents make a little bit more money than your parents make, yet you have all the cool shit and I don't have any of this. But I remember one thing that we used to play a lot was Mario Paint. And I don't really know how I'm going to describe Mario Paint, but Mario Paint is actually the other Super Nintendo game that I have. I have a big box version. Maybe I'll take it down and shoot a little B-roll for Brett to throw in here so you can see it. But Mario Paint was a crazy, I don't even know if you call it a game, because it's not really a game. It's more of an experience. And I feel like it allowed for creativity that, you know, you didn't really see at that time. Like, yeah, there were some coloring style games, like Color a Dinosaur and stuff like that, but I don't think any of them really managed to do what Mario Paint managed to do in terms of creativity, in terms of incorporating a mouse into console games, because that was a big deal. Like, in order to have a mouse, like everyone knows about mice nowadays, not the little rodent creatures, but, you know, to navigate your computer. And I feel like, you know, we take for granted the technology that we have, because back then, like, in order to have a computer, you had to have stupid computers. Were not, you think computers are expensive now? You're an idiot. You could buy a computer for $500 that'll do what you want it to do. Yeah, you won't be able to play games at, you know, 4K or, you know, ray tracing on and stuff like that, but it'll do what you want it to do. If you wanted a basic ass computer, it was like $3,000 back in the day. It was crazy times. So to have a mouse at home, you know, it was very interesting. And just the whole premise of Mario Paint not really having a purpose and having essentially 3 different things within the game that you would do was just so cool. So of course the main thing about Mario Paint was just drawing. You know, you would essentially draw and paint stuff and make your own little artistic creations. You could even do some like basic animations and stuff like that. People have actually done very impressive stuff. I think Mike Matei might have done it. He designed the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles original cartoon intro in Mario Paint. If it wasn't Mike Matei, maybe he shared it, but I know that video exists out there. Just some like next level stuff, and it looks really cool. You had to put a lot of time and dedication into Mario Paint in order to make it work. And obviously when you're a little kid, like, you don't really have that sort of patience. You don't really have that sort of time. So where would the enjoyment come from? You know, obviously we were drawing like wieners and stuff like that, because I mean, hell, I'm 38 years old and you give me a paint program or something, the first thing I'm drawing is a wiener, because it makes me laugh. And I don't care what you think. As long as I laugh, I'm having a good time. But Mario Paint wasn't just this creation tool, although it was at its heart. That's what it was all about. It was about creating your own sort of visual stuff and, you know, making your own drawings and making your own animated shorts. But there was other aspects to the game that I feel like as a kid, I spent way more time on with my cousin. So I remember I don't remember what the hell it's called, and people are gonna get mad. You're a fake gamer in the comments or whatever. It was the game, the fly swatting game. Like, it was just a mini game where you would essentially take the mouse and you would have flies on the screen and you had to swat them. And it had like a really funky soundtrack, like really, really good music. And like whenever you would hit the fly, it'd make like a sound. And it was just so much fun. Like it was such a simple thing, but using the mouse on the mouse pad and clicking and like trying to kill the fly, like there was something so satisfying about that. Something so simplistic, yet you always wanted to play it. Like you always wanted to swat the fly. And the fact that they've never done another Mario Paint, we'll get to that towards the end of the video. I want to bitch about that for a little bit, but the fly swatting game was super fun. Like obviously in retrospect, it's very simple. It's nothing to write home about, but it wasn't the main purpose of the game. You know, it was just an additional feature that really made it sort of cool. But then you had the music creation tool, and we used to, man, even as an adult, you know, that was so much fun. Because as a kid, I would go over to my cousin's house and he'd be like, "Oh, dude, I got this new song that I just made on Mario Paint." I'd be like, "Oh, cool, let me hear it." And it would just be one of those stock songs, like the Mario song, or the dun 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 and like I was just be like, "Oh wow, that's so cool." And I didn't realize that he didn't make those songs because I didn't have the game. It wasn't my game. And then like as an adult, like when I had my little crappy apartment and my friends would come over and be like, "Oh yo, check out this song I just made on Mario Paint." And they'd be like, "Bro, you didn't make that. That's a song that's stock in the game." Like, "No, dude, that's not a demo song. What are you talking about?" But you could be so creative with that, and people have been. So like obviously it was a more popular thing like 12, 13 years ago. You know, it's kind of in the infancy of YouTube. Like people used to do covers. There was like programs where you can make like actual songs with the same sound effects that were used in Mario Paint. And you know, it was obviously a bit limited and restricted, but the creativity of that game was really one of the most creative things Nintendo had done up until that time. Of course, you have crap like, you know, Labo and touch screens and this, that, and the other, but they never made another Mario Paint. And that blows my mind. That absolutely blows my mind. With all this technology, with all these touch screens, with all this capability of sharing stuff with people, because think about it, you couldn't share anything. There was no online server to upload a song or a drawing or an animation to. You couldn't do any of that. All you had was local play with your friends or family who would come over and see what you done. Now you have all this online stuff. You have all these systems with touch screens and capabilities and stuff, and we haven't revisited this game. We haven't revisited this as a tool of creation. That behooves me. It's absolutely that game should have came out on the DS. There should have been a 3DS version. There should be a Switch version of Mario Paint. And the fact that there isn't, you know, it's very weird to me, because I think creativity is such an amazing thing. You know, it really shows you what, you know, what's in someone's head, you know, what's on somebody's mind, or what they're capable of doing, what sort of creations they're able to come up with that are just, you know, mind-blowing things that you wouldn't necessarily expect to come out of someone, whether it's a musical thing. You know, a lot of people don't realize I play guitar. I've been playing guitar for a long time, and you know, music creation is something that I'm interested in. So I would like something like that, you know. I'm not a great drawer. I can't color in the lines. Like, I'm not good at that, but I know that there are people out there that are very talented and can do stuff like that. So the fact that Nintendo never created another Mario Paint is always very curious to me. But I always remember those experiences over at my cousin's house with his mom chain smoking cigarettes in the kitchen. Like, we're drinking Pepsi. Like, they were obsessed with Pepsi. But yeah, it was fun times, man. It was fun times, and I still think it's a game worth checking out. You know, it's definitely an experience, but it's an experience that everyone should have at least one time in their life. So let me know in the comment section down below. Do you have any fond memories of Mario Paint? Was this a game that you played as a kid? Did you play it as an adult? Have you never played it? If not, download an emulator and play it. Or if you have a Super Nintendo, you can pick up a copy. The game's not very expensive, but the mouse, like the complete copy, I believe I bought that Mario Paint. I'm pointing to it up there, even though I showed it on camera in B-roll. I bought that for like $90 on eBay. pretty recently after I sold my video game collection, because I was thinking about games that I was nostalgic for, because that's kind of what I want the focal point of my retro game collection to be, just games that I have memories of, games that I'm nostalgic for. And the fact that I didn't have that game kind of bothered me. So I was like, oh, screw it, you know, it's a nice shelf piece and stuff like that, and it's an important piece of video game history. So let me know what you think of Mario Paint in the comments section down below. Thank you guys for coming to my stash and hanging out with me. Let me know in the comments section down below what sort of games and systems you want me to talk about. Maybe I have adult nostalgia for them, maybe I have childhood nostalgia for them. I'm sure I'll find some nostalgia out of it. And as always, I'll catch you guys on the next video. Later.